Hey everybody, Uncle Rich here for Who's Telling the Truth. Guys, this is show 188. Today's date is 9/25/17. And the name of the show, guys, we were going to name the show Graham-Cassidy in honor of the Republican bill that the Republican Party is trying to jam down the throats of the middle class, you know, in their last-ditch effort to give tax breaks to the billionaires and to knock people off of health care. But so I wanted to call the name of the show Graham-Cassidy. And then we started playing with names, and I said, well, maybe we should call it Bitch Cassidy, in honor of Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, or the Sundance Clown in this case. But, you know, finally we decided on Graham-Crackers. And you're going to say, Graham-Crackers? Well, yeah. I mean, this is the billionaires. This is the billionaires cracking the whip. And who's the billionaire? Our president, Donald Trump. And what whip is he cracking? He's cracking the race whip. He's cracking the whip on the idea that what's more important right now, disrespecting the flags, or should we be talking about the hurricanes? Should we be talking about the flooding? Should we be talking about Korea? Should we be talking about Russia? Or should we be talking about the most important issue in our lifetime, health care, which is the Graham-Cassidy bill? But guys, you know, rather than argue and try to misinform and try to, you know, tilt things the wrong way, right, Uncle Joey? I love Uncle Joey. But we're going to do what Bernie does. Judy, we're going to do what Bernie does. Judy.
Enough of the emails. Let's talk about the real issues facing America.
Guys, I don't know what happened. We practiced this. I think Judy gets too involved with the show and she forgets. But Judy, just for fun and just for shits and giggles, let's play the clip again because it's so important, because we want to focus on the issues. So let's have that clip again.
Enough of the emails. Let's talk about the real issues facing America.
And guys, it's simple. Don't try to give me the double reverse. Don't try to get me to point my attention at this idea about this whole thing with the flag. You know, what's most important is the fact that we get the country straightened out. And what we're going to do is, in the very beginning of the show, we're just going to have a little fun giving Trump the old bada bing, and we're going to tease him. And once you see what we're going to do, you're going to agree with us. But we're going to let John Oliver do most of the action. I tell you, and guys, he did such a beautiful job. And just watch, he's kind of on the same page as we are. You know, don't give me the double reverse. Give me the facts and the truth, and let me sort it out. So, Judy, let's have clip number 2, please.
I'm John Oliver. Thank you so much for joining us. And look, it has been another frantic week. A new and terrible healthcare bill was pushed in the Senate. The president called Kim Jong-un rocket man at the UN. There was significant development in Robert Mueller's Russia investigation. And then this weekend, all hell broke loose.
The president now picking a fight with professional athletes, taking aim at players like Colin Kaepernick, who protested the treatment of blacks by police by taking a knee during the national anthem.
Wouldn't you love to see one of these NFL owners, when somebody disrespects our flag, to say, get that son of a bitch off the field right now, out, he's fired.
Get that son of a bitch off the field.
Okay,
You believe
putting
that?
aside the free speech implications there, how is kneeling in front of a flag more disrespectful to it than grinding it against your gnarled old boner? But I'm afraid it is true. The President of the United States took time out while, it is worth noting, over 3 million American citizens in Puerto Rico are without power, to call Colin Kaepernick a son of a bitch. Kaepernick's own mother, incidentally, magnificently responding, "Guess that makes me a proud bitch." And that was one of many eye-catching responses to Trump, including Bill's running back LaShawn McCoy tweeting, "It's really sad, man, ... Our president is an arsehole." Meanwhile, many more players took a knee this afternoon, and even NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell denounced the president's comments. And when you have lost the moral high ground to Roger Goodell, something is horribly wrong. Which is not to say that Trump did not have his supporters on this issue, and none were more vigorous than Fox News' Janine Pirro, who delivered a characteristically calm and measured address to those kneeling football players.
America's been incredibly good to every one of you. From the time you displayed talent in sports as a youth, America's allowed you to shine and become financially prosperous. There are so many of you who make tens of millions of dollars. Shame on you. Shame on all of you.
Wow. But you know what? She is right. No one wants to hear about politics from a wildly successful athlete. You only want to hear about them from an abject failure of a prosecutor who somehow let Robert Durst slip through her fingers. And by the way, Janine, there's a flag behind you. Have some respect. But let's move on for now, because I would like to...
Let's move on for now. And guys, that's what we got to do. And what we're going to do is we're going to move on to England. And the reason why is the first NFL game was played at 9:30 on Sunday morning because they played it in London, England. So, of course, this is the first place that we're going to see the response from the NFL players. And guys, when you see what they did, when you see how they locked arms together in solidarity to kneel, so, you know, against what Trump is trying to pull. So anyway, so let's take a look at the first glimpse of what happened in the NFL in England with clip number 3. Judy?
Moments ago, the national anthem was sung in Wembley, and this was the scene.
Look at this, guys.
Everyone locking arms. Some,
locking
as you can see,
arms together.
There's T. Sizzle with Ray Lewis, part of the group, kneeling. Some Jaguars standing, some kneeling. There's Calais Campbell. But everyone from staff on both sides interlocking arms. Again, some standing, some kneeling. At one point, Shad Khan, we could see the owner of the Jacksonville Jaguars, interlocking arms with his players.
First time I've seen an owner and a part of a protest.
Interlocking arms. There he is. That's the back of
The owner
Shad Khan.
of the team, the owner of the franchise.
Arms of two of his employees.
Standing with the players in defiance
neither
of
of
Trump.
the teams today without some show of unity. This is the first national anthem that's being played since the president's comments on Friday night, and interestingly enough, it is on foreign soil, where one assumes his ambassador to this country, the owner of the New York Jets, Woody Johnson, is in attendance as well. So this is the scene in Wembley moments ago. And we will, with toe meeting ball, with the sports world, on edge. There's no two ways about it. It's not just our sport. There's the NBA as well that had its words with the president yesterday. That's what's going on here on NFL Game Day Morning Live. As soon as there's a highlight, we will go ahead and...
So guys, so Trump is actually uniting America by trying to divide us. It's all going against him. You know what I mean? He's a sick man. And why he's gone to this extreme to put this out there And the reason why we showed you the clip is we wanted to show you visible proof of how the players stood in locked arms in defiance of Trump. But you know, the reason why we showed it is because Trump only sees what Trump wants to say. And guys, I tell you, when I was a kid, my father always used to say to me, Rich, you only see what you want to see. And I never really understood that he was presenting a kind of a bias that I had developed. And guys, that's what we want to try to eliminate, is any kind of a bias. But the next clip we're going to show you, and just watch. You hear it from Trump's mouth. He sees what other people don't see. So Judy, let's have clip number 4, please.
If I decide to run for office, I'll produce my tax returns, absolutely.
There have been many presidents that have not shown their tax returns.
Actually, every single nominee since 19...
The owners should do something about it. I think it's very disrespectful to our flag and to our country. So I certainly think the owners should do something about it. There was great solidarity. I watched a little bit. I was not watching the games today. Believe me, I'm doing other things. But I watched a little bit, and I will say that there was tremendous solidarity for our flag and for our country. I think the owners should do something about it. I think it's very disrespectful to our flag and to our country. So I certainly think the owners should do something about it. There was great solidarity. I watched a little bit. I was not watching the games today. Believe me, I'm doing other things. But I watched a little bit, and I will say that there was tremendous solidarity for our flag and for our country.
Nice save, Judy. I screwed the numbering up on that, and Judy saved it. But did you see what Trump said? There was great solidarity. The man is a sick man. He sees things that other people don't see. Uncle Joey, how long are you going to let him get away with this nonsense? When are you going to finally say to him, hey, Mr. Trump, listen, maybe a nice vacation. You know, take it easy. We'll take care of you. We got you covered. We'll screw everything up for you. You know, we'll take over. Joey, when are you going to finally come to your senses? When are you going to finally admit it? You know? And Judy, we're going to have another challenge for you, because the next one is number 5, and it's Trump versus Trump. And the reason why we play these clips is so that you could sit here and you could go, I can't believe it, but Rich, you're proving to me that Trump is a certified liar, and thanks for the evidence. So, Judy, this is going to be a little tricky, but Trump versus Trump number 5, please.
If I decide to run for office, I'll produce my tax returns, absolutely.
There have been many presidents that have not shown their tax returns.
Actually, every single nominee since 1976 has released their tax
before
returns.
1976...
I'm the only one on the stage that said we should not go into Iraq.
Are you for invading Iraq?
Yeah, I guess so.
I'm very pro-life.
I'm very pro-choice.
Do you believe in punishment for abortion? Yes or no, as a principle? There has to be some form of punishment.
I am pro-choice in every respect.
He doesn't know what he is.
She has no natural talent to be president.
She's very talented, and she has a husband that I also like very much.
Hillary Clinton was the worst Secretary of State in the history of the United States.
Hillary Clinton, how did she do as Secretary of State? Probably above and beyond everybody else.
Let's say Hillary is president.
Hillary Clinton, I think, is a terrific woman. I think she really works hard, and I think she does a good job, and I like her.
Donald, true or false, you've said the government should pay for everyone's health care?
That's false.
You've never said that.
Everybody's got to be covered.
Universal health care.
I am going to take care of everybody.
Who pays for it?
The government's going to pay for it, but we're going to save so much money on the other side.
6, right? Are you all right?
They're here illegally. You take them, they have to go back.
We have to show some compassion. We just can't throw everybody out.
They have to go split up families.
You're going to deport children.
Chuck, no, we're going to keep the families together. We have to keep the families together.
But you're going to keep
them
together out.
But they have to go.
How do you throw somebody out that's lived in this country for 20 years?
North Korea has nukes. Japan has a problem with that. I mean, they have a big problem with it. Maybe they would, in fact, be better off if they defend themselves from North Korea. Maybe we would be better off. including with nukes. Yes, including with nukes.
They said, I want Japan to nuke. I want Japan to get nuclear weapons. Give me a break.
You said I was in favor of Libya? I never discussed that subject. I was in favor of Libya. We would be so much better off if Gaddafi were in charge right now. Gaddafi in Libya is killing thousands of people. I'm a conservative person.
The Republicans are just too crazy right. I mean, just what's going on is just nuts.
Bush says, I do not believe he's a true conservative. These people are stupid.
Do you identify more as a Democrat or a Republican?
In many cases, I probably identify more as a Democrat.
The economy does better under the Democrats than the Republicans.
Wages too high. We're not going to be able to compete against the world. I hate to say it, but we have to leave it the way it is.
I don't know how people make it on $7.25 an hour. I would like to see an increase of some magnitude.
As far as the truth goes, we've got people in positions of power who I know for a fact are liars. Liars. I don't believe any one of them, not one. I believe Donald.
Mm-hmm. She believes Donald. And guys, that's the way it is. These are like-thinking people. When they go to look something up, especially when it comes to global warming, they go to a conservative site that confirms what they already have in their mind. They're not critical thinkers, right, Uncle Joey? Oh, me and Uncle Joey had so much fun. Uncle Joe, Trump said that there's so much heroin coming in over the wall that people are getting hit on the head with heroin. So I said to Uncle Joey, Uncle Joey, you believe this? Are you stupid enough to believe this? He goes, Rich, it's true. And then he puts up a picture of supposedly a catapult that's hooked up to a fence. And I'm saying to myself, so this is all you needed as evidence. But I mean, I love Uncle Joey. I do. But Uncle Joey, when are you going to come around, babe? Oh, listen, guys. I really have it in my mind that to celebrate our 200th show, I'm really thinking about inviting Uncle Joey on so you can actually meet him. But I don't know. It's going to be right around the holidays, so it could be a Christmas present for everybody. All right. But guys, now we're done. We're done giving Trump the business. Now we're going to try to stick to the factual part of the show where we go through the Graham-Cassidy bill and what they're trying to do. And I thought Jimmy Kimmel is the one that came to the forefront. And why? Because he had the unfortunate situation where his kid was born with a heart defect. And he's already had Cassidy on his show. And Cassidy wanted to name the bill that he wanted to name a test, the Jimmy Kimmel test. So anyway, he came right on TV and he lied to Jimmy Kimmel and he lied to the American people, and now he's still lying. But you know what? We're not going to just make the assumption that he lied. We're going to prove it to you. That's all. Plain. And I tell you, Kimmel did such a beautiful job. He left no stones unturned. He really gave everybody, I'll tell you, he tied into everybody. And why? Because the Republicans are evil. When you want to kick 20-something million people off of health care to give tax breaks to billionaires, there's a problem. And even people like Uncle Joey can say, well, you know, maybe that's not a good idea. But the problem is he's so dead set against Democrats and Hillary and Obama that nothing is better than having anything that the Democrats had to do with. That's his idea of a victory. And this is what makes it so sad. And this is why I do the show. And at the end of the show, we're going to give you some phone numbers, and hopefully you'll make a phone call and you'll tell these senators, stop the nonsense. Uncle, I'm calling because I saw the phone number on Uncle Rich's show. And I'm calling on behalf of Uncle Rich. And I tell you, I'd appreciate it, guys. But anyway, now we're going to show how Jimmy Kimmel started the whole ball rolling. So, Judy, can we have clip number 6, please?
I know you guys are going to find this hard to believe, but a few months ago, after my son had open heart surgery, which was something I spoke about on the air, a politician, a senator named Bill Cassidy from Louisiana, was on my show, and he wasn't very honest. It seemed like he was being honest. He got a lot of credit and attention for coming off like a rare, reasonable voice in the Republican Party when it came to health care, for coming up with something he called, and I didn't name it this, he named it this, the Jimmy Kimmel test, which was, in a nutshell, no family should be denied medical care, emergency or otherwise, because they can't afford it. He agreed to that. He said he would only support a health care bill that made sure a child like mine would get the health coverage he needs no matter how much money his parents make. And that did not have annual or lifetime caps. These insurance companies, they want caps to limit how much they can pay out. So, for instance, if your son has to have 3 open heart surgeries, it can cost hundreds of thousands of dollars apiece. If he hits his lifetime cap of, let's say, $1 million, the rest of his life, he's on his own. Now, our current plan protects Americans from these caps and prevents insurance providers from jacking up the rates for people who have pre-existing conditions of all types. And Senator Cassidy said his plan would do that too. He said all this on television many times.
As you present that, I asked, does it pass the Jimmy Kimmel test? Would the child born with a congenital heart disease be able to get everything she or he would need in that first year of life? I wanted to pass the Jimmy Kimmel test.
Okay, so last week, Bill Cassidy and Senator Lindsey Graham proposed a new bill, the Graham-Cassidy bill, and this new bill actually does pass the Jimmy Kimmel test, but a different Jimmy Kimmel test. With this one, your child with a pre-existing condition will get the care he needs if and only if his father is Jimmy Kimmel. Otherwise, you might be screwed. Now, I don't know what happened to Bill Cassidy, but when he was on this publicity tour, he listed his demands for a health care bill very clearly. These were his words. He said he wants coverage for all, no discrimination based on pre-existing conditions, lower premiums for middle-class families, and no lifetime caps. And guess what? The new bill does none of those things. Coverage for all? No. In fact, it'll kick about 30 million Americans off insurance. Pre-existing conditions? No. If the bill passes, individual states can let insurance companies charge you more if you have a pre-existing condition. You'll find that little loophole later in the document after it says they can. They can and they will. But will it lower premiums? Well, in fact, for lots of people, the bill will result in higher premiums. And as far as no lifetime caps go, the states can decide on that too, which means there will be lifetime caps in many states. So not only did Bill Cassidy fail the Jimmy Kimmel test, he failed the Bill Cassidy test. He failed his own test. And you don't see that happen very much. This bill he came up with is actually worse than the one that, thank God, Republicans like Susan Collins and Lisa Murkowski and John McCain torpedoed over the summer. And I hope they have the courage and good sense to do that again with this one, because these other guys who claim they want Americans to have better health care, even though 8 years ago they didn't want anyone to have health care at all, they're trying to sneak this scam of a bill they cooked up in without an analysis from the Bipartisan Congressional Budget Office. They don't even want you to see it. They're having one hearing. The hearings, I read the hearings being held in the Homeland Security Committee, which has nothing to do with health care, and the chairman agreed to allow 2 witnesses, Bill Cassidy and Lindsey Graham, to speak. So listen, health care is complicated. It's boring. I don't want to talk about it. The details are confusing, and that's what these guys are relying on. They're counting on you to be so overwhelmed with all the information, you just trust them to take care of you, but they're not taking care of you. They're taking care of the people who give them money, like insurance companies, and we're all just looking at our Instagram accounts and liking things while they're voting on whether people can afford to keep their children alive or not. Most of the Congress people who vote on this bill probably won't even read it. And they want us to do the same thing. They want us to treat it like an iTunes service agreement. And this guy, Bill Cassidy, just lied right to my face. Do you believe that every American, regardless of income, should be able to get regular checkups, maternity care, etc., all of those things that people who have health care get and need?
Yep.
So yep is Washington for nope, I guess. And I never imagined I would get involved in something like this. This is not my area of expertise. My area of expertise is eating pizza, and that's really about it. But we can't let him do this to our children and our senior citizens and our veterans or to any of us. And by the way, before you post a nasty Facebook message saying I'm politicizing my son's health problems, I want you to know I am politicizing my son's health problems because I have to. My family has health insurance. We don't have to worry about this, but other people do. So you can shove your disgusting comments where your doctor won't be giving you a prostate exam once they take your health care benefits away. It's truly, it's unbelievable. Somehow Japan and England and Canada and Germany, France, they all figured health care out. And don't say they have terrible health care because it's just not true. This is a bad bill. But don't take my word for it. Here are just some of the organizations that oppose this Graham-Cassidy bill. The American Cancer Society, the American Diabetes Association, American Heart Association, American Lung Association, the Arthritis Foundation, Cystic Fibrosis, the ALS Association, the March of Dimes, Multiple Sclerosis Society, Children's Hospital of LA. Basically, any group you've ever given money to thinks this is a bad idea. Do you trust them or do you trust him? Okay? So if this bill isn't good enough for you, call your congressperson. That's the number. It'll go to your congressperson, wherever he or she is, 202-224-3121. You have to do this. You can't just click like on this video. Tell them this bill doesn't pass your test. And Senator Cassidy, you're on my show. You seem like you're a decent guy. But here's the thing. Nobody outside of your buddies in Congress wants this bill. Only 12% of Americans supported the last one, and this one is worse. Right now, there's a bipartisan group of senators working to improve the health care system we have. We want quality, affordable health care. Dozens of other countries figured it out. So instead of jamming this horrible bill down our throats, go pitch in and be a part of that. I'm sure they could use a guy with your medical background. And if not, stop using my name, okay? Because I don't want my name on it. There's a new Jimmy Kimmel test for you. It's called a lie detector test. You're welcome to stop by the studio and take it anytime. There you go. Hi, I'm Jimmy Kimmel. If you like that, click the subscribe button below.
That's a good idea, isn't it? Getting these guys to take a lie detector test as they're given an answer? Right? I mean, let's stop the crap. You know, tell us if you're lying right off the bat. Let's be honest with each other. Let's be honest about your lying, right, Uncle Joey? I tell you, Uncle Joey, he'll do anything. My party, right or wrong, my party, it doesn't matter. As long as the Democrats don't get what they want, I'm happy, right, Joe? But guys, the next clip, that was the first Jimmy Kimmel clip. And I believe he did that on Tuesday. That was Wednesday, after Trump made the speech. So then what happened is the next night he started bashing Brian Kilmeade, who Brian Kilmeade said he was a friend of Jimmy Kimmel. And I want to tell you, Jimmy Kimmel took no prisoners. And the next clip, we're going to show you how he gave him the old bada bing, and then we're going to show you Kilmeade's response. And when you see this, you're going to say, you know, Brian, maybe it's time you started doing something different for a living. Aren't you tired of taking advantage of the simple folk like Uncle Joey and feeding them false information and trying to trick them all the time? And guys, you know, like we always say on the show, we'll have fun. And when you see it, you'll go, you got to be kidding me. But no, we don't kid. We play clips. So, Judy, clip number 7, please.
I had an interesting day today, I'll tell you. So last night on our show, I took a senator from Louisiana, Bill Cassidy. I took him to task for promising to my face that he would oppose any health care plan that allowed insurance companies to turn people with pre-existing conditions away, and any health care plan that had an annual or lifetime cap on how much they would pay out for medical care. He said anything he supported would have to pass what he named the Jimmy Kimmel test, which was fine. It was good, but unfortunately and puzzlingly, he proposed a bill that would allow states to do all the things he said he would not let them do. He made a total about-face, which means he either doesn't understand his own bill or he lied to me. It's as simple as that. So today, it was a bad morning for Senator Cassidy. He and his co-sponsor, Lindsey Graham, spent the morning defending the indefensible. This morning, the senator sat for an interview with Chris Cuomo of CNN and pulled the all comedians are dummies card. There's a new Jimmy Kimmel test for you. It's called a lie detector test. You're welcome to stop by the studio and take it anytime.
Harsh words, not apparently in jest. And joining us now is Senator Bill Cassidy. What is your response, Senator?
I'm sorry, he does not understand.
Oh, I get it. I don't understand because I'm a talk show host, right? Well, and then help me out. Which part don't I understand? Is it the part where you cut $243 billion from federal health care assistance? Am I not understanding the part where states would be allowed to let insurance companies price you out of coverage for having pre-existing conditions? Maybe I don't understand the part of your bill in which federal funding disappears completely after 2026. Or maybe it was the part where the plans are no longer required to pay for essential health benefits like maternity care or pediatric visits, or the part where the American Medical Association, the American College of Physicians, the American Academy of Pediatrics, the American Hospital Association, the American Cancer Society, the American Diabetes Association, the American Heart Association, Lung Association, Arthritis Foundation, Cystic Fibrosis, ALS, the National Multiple Sclerosis Society, and the March of Dimes, among many others, all vehemently oppose your bill. Which part of that am I not understanding? Or could it be, Senator Cassidy, that the problem is that I do understand and you got caught with your Geo penis out? Is that possible? Your Geo penis. Now, look, I don't want to turn this into a Kanye and Taylor Swift type situation, but when Senator Cassidy was on my show in May, he told me that he believed that every American family, regardless of income, should be able to get quality health care. And I believed he was sincere. Sadly, the bill he unveiled last week with Senator Lindsey Graham indicates that he was not sincere. It is, by many accounts, the worst health care bill yet. I have a clip that I hope will make what happened with Senator Cassidy easier to understand. This is from last night's Yankees game. So Senator Cassidy, he made a pitch that looked to be pretty good at first, but then it took a dangerous turn and hit us right in the nuts. That's what happened. You see? So, got a lot of nice tweets, words of support today from people, from a lot of sick and disabled people who are worried about their access to health care being cut off. But I also got some words that were not so nice, particularly from our friends at Fox and Friends.
Sunday's politically charged Emmys may have been the lowest rated in history, but that's not stopping Hollywood elites like comedian Jimmy Kimmel for pushing their politics on the rest of the country. Watch.
Thanks, Brian. That was Brian Kilmeade. And the reason I found this comment to be particularly annoying is because this is a guy, Brian Kilmeade, who whenever I see him, kisses my ass like a little boy meeting Batman. Oh, he's such a fan. He follows me on Twitter. He asked me to write a blurb for his book, which I did. He calls my agent looking for projects. He's dying to be a member of the Hollywood elite. The only reason he's not a member of the Hollywood elite is because nobody will hire him to be one. And, you know, the reason I'm talking about this is because my son had an open heart surgery and has to have 2 more. And because of that, I learned that there are kids with no insurance in the same situation. I don't get anything out of this, Brian, you phony little creep. Oh, I'll pound you when I see you. That is my blurb. That will be my blurb for your next book. Brian Kilmeade is a phony little creep. That's right.
Brian Kilmeade is a phony little creep, but he's a foxstitute. And guys, I love to use that term, foxstitute. People that sold their soul to be on Fox News. It's that simple. They sold their souls to the Republican Party and to the billionaire donors. They want the big bucks. They want to make the big bucks. And, you know, eventually they're going to have to pay a price. But we're going to show you Kilmeade's response now. And when I tell you, this guy should be ashamed of himself. He should be ashamed of his family. He should be ashamed of everybody on Fox and how they go about tricking the simple folk. But Judy, let's have clip number 8, please.
What we're doing on our show is we're talking to the people in the fray and the analysts on both sides. Last night, Jimmy Kimmel personally attacked me. What I do is I do this morning show so I can't see it, but I got up and had a chance to look at the clip. And this is what I would like to say on this. Hope your son gets better. I hope your son gets all the care he needs. I'm glad you're interested. You're causing the dialogue. You're doing a great job bringing the dialogue out, but you should actually do what we're doing. Talk to the people that wrote it. Yeah, Senator Graham, Senator Cassidy, asking tough questions to Michael, and we'll see where we go from here. About me and you personally, yeah, I did this thing called Request an Interview for an up-and-coming talk show host who did a great job on Fox Sports. And even when you weren't getting great ratings, I thought you and the show was excellent. When I was at American Idol across the street at the finale, I walked over at least 2 years, maybe 3 years, and you were kind enough to give an interview to me. I thought the pieces went great. I didn't kiss your butt. I thought you did a good job, and I thought I'd highlight behind the scenes on an up-and-coming talk show. As you trying to get you to blurb the book, a little mistaken. I actually tried to get you in this book in 2003. It's How You Play the Game. The Games Do Count, 2 books back to back. I wanted to focus on people in sports and how it helped them later on in life. Got guys like The Rock to be in it, President Bush to be in it, Robin Williams to be in it. I wanted you to be in it. It didn't work out. I didn't think that was a negative. Continue to do a great job. Best luck with
Guys, how do you believe anything you hear on Fox News? I mean, how do you believe anything? I mean, I sit there and I watch them, and I say to myself what I say on this show every week. Be specific and cite your source. Where do these clowns come up with this stuff? And you notice Kilmeade had a book. You notice all these guys write books, and they all become bestsellers. Why? You don't think people read them, do you? No. They buy them to give to other conservatives. They can put them on their coffee table. Oh, yeah, I read. But guys, the next clip we're going to play is from the king. And when I say the king, I mean Alex Jones is the king of craziness, deception. This guy is the Fruit Loop of Fruit Loops. And I tell you, I listen to him, and at times, you know, I think it's a comedy routine, but the guy is serious. And this is what scares me, because I'm sure there were people that actually believe what he's saying. So let's take it one step further, and let's see what Alex Jones has to say about Kimmel and the whole idea of what's going on. Judy?
So Kimmel really's got a big one where he talks about his son and his heart surgery. Kimmel, I care about you and your son, and I hope you research how GMO in all rat species and in all rodent species and in all mammal species is linked to causing all sorts of heart valve defects. So that's where you start getting, is where the body kind of folds in during embryonic development. That's why you get hair lips. That's why a lot of times hair lips are associated with heart defects as well, because the body's seaming up those little things. And if there's toxins, if there's GMO, if there's vaccines, if your wife took a vaccine during the first trimester, I've got the big studies, I covered them yesterday. Even CNN had mentioned massive increase in heart valve defects. So Kimmel, why don't you tell people about the vaccines? I bet you don't know. The media will say, Jones makes fun of Kimmel's son and his heart defect. No, I care about your son and all the other kids that are getting the heart defects that are all way up, Kimmel. So why don't you stop beating up on one of the little candy asses over there at Fox News and stop using your son to talk about how you're going to kick people's asses to promote violence in America. How about that? How about you actually help some kids, buddy, instead of using your kid, instead of pimping your kid out there to push Obamacare that's designed to wreck health care. Now, maybe you don't know what you're doing, and that's okay. So we forgive you. Kimmel, good. Now, by the way, let me just say this. I don't want to go on Kimmel's show, I don't want to go on The Daily Show. I don't want to go on any of them. And we've had offers before to go on these shows. I'm not going. I piss on your. You're not real shows. You're frauds. You're crap. You're the enemy. You're cancer. Your grandma dying of a heart attack. Your grandpa with a brain tumor. You're failure. You're betrayal. You're anathema. You're a blaspheme. And you will fall. You're already falling right now. I'm sorry for your son. Did your wife take the vaccines and slurping that tap water? Why don't you find out why this is happening? Why don't you actually save other kids instead of using your kid to bring in socialism and globalist control for big fat cat corporations that want to make us buy overpriced health care? How about that? You ever seen my little kids on TV other than my son likes to go on? Have I used my 5-month-old daughter and Twitter and Facebook? Maybe I should because she's so cute. I love her, proud of her. Just stop it. Stop talking about how you want to do violence against somebody. I'm going to shut up, go to Larry Nichols. We'll put up his website as well. Larry, what's the latest? What's the big developments you've got unfolding in this world? Larry Nichols.
Can you believe him? I mean, is it possible? I mean, to me, it's, you know, he seemed to imply that vaccines are what causes the heart problems. You know, we've heard that before. And then, of course, he ranted about socialism, how medicine, you know, is going to be taken over, and it's all going to be socialistic, and we're all going to suffer, and we're all going to have... But, you know, the one thing we always talk about on this show is about corporation, about paying taxes, and about paying, you know, the billionaires paying their fair share. You know, we talk about, you know, paying your fair share. Bernie brings it up all the time. And guys, the next clip is going to be, you know, why are we the only advanced country in the world that doesn't have health care as a right? And the reason is simple. It's because the billionaires and corporate America doesn't want to pay their fair share. They want to put profits before people. It's that simple. Guys, you're nothing more than a number. We're going to change all that. So let's take a look at corporations and about paying their fair share. Judy, clip 10, please.
So Kimmel really's got a big one where he talks about his son and his heart surgery. Judy. Kimmel, I care about you and your son.
For too long, CEOs have gotten away with the lie that giving their corporations tax relief will be good for the rest of us.
We are going to cut taxes massively. We're going to cut business taxes massively.
What we hear over and over and over again from Republicans is that slashing corporate tax rates will lead to more and better jobs.
They're going to start hiring people.
If you cut taxes for corporations, you're going to make things move.
This is all about jobs, jobs, jobs.
Under my plan, I'll be reducing taxes tremendously, from 35% to 15%.
This has really become the mantra of the Republican Party.
That's going to be a job creator like we haven't seen since Ronald Reagan.
We decided to test this claim by looking at the U.S. corporations that are already exploiting loopholes to pay less than 20% of their profits in taxes. Now, if the Republican mantra were true, these companies would be the strongest job creators in the country. Instead, we found just the opposite. On average, the tax-dodging corporations had job growth since 2008 of less than 1% compared to 6% for the private sector as a whole. And more than half of these tax-dodging companies actually slashed hundreds of thousands of jobs. So if they weren't spending their tax savings on creating jobs, what were they spending it on? Well, surprise, surprise, we found a lot of this money was going into the pockets of their top executives. Among the tax-dodging companies that were also cutting jobs, average CEO pay last year was $15 million. That's even more than the already obscene $13 million average for big companies as a whole. AT&T is another outrageous example of a company that used tax savings to boost their CEO while slashing jobs. They paid a very low 8% tax rate since 2008 while cutting nearly 80,000 workers. And yet their CEO is still out there claiming that if Congress lowers the corporate tax rate, he'll create thousands of jobs. Well, yeah, right.
Lower taxes drives more investment, drives more hiring, drives greater wages.
We need to reject the lie that corporate tax cuts are good for workers, and we need to focus the debate on making sure that corporations and Wall Street pay their fair share.
You know, talk about paying your fair share. Not this next clip, but the one after that. Chris Murphy, our senator from Connecticut, we're going to play a clip on get rich quick schemes. And guys, when you see it, you're going to go, holy mackerel. But the first thing is, you know, there's a lot of things that Bernie wishes he could tell you. And the next clip is going to point a lot of these out. So, Judy, let's have clip number 11, please.
I really wish that I could explain to you why Trump and the Republicans one more time are coming back with legislation to destroy health care for tens of millions of Americans. I wish I could explain to you how under this new so-called Graham-Cassidy bill, they could take away the insurance lifeline from many thousands of people who are struggling with life-threatening illnesses like cancer, heart disease, diabetes, or opioid addiction. I wish I could explain to you why without health insurance, they will allow many of these patients to simply die or become much sicker than they should. And make no mistake about it, thousands will die unnecessarily every year if this bill becomes law. I wish I could tell you what happens under this legislation to children with special needs, kids with Down syndrome, autism, brain damage, when their families are left on their own without the financial support to take care of them because of massive cuts to Medicaid. Or what happens to older workers, 60 to 65, who see major increases in their insurance premiums and just don't have the income to pay for those premiums. I wish I could tell you what happens to 2.5 million women who lose their ability to get health care at Planned Parenthood, which would be defunded by this legislation. I honestly cannot explain to you why anyone in the United States Senate would vote for such a cruel piece of legislation. But the truth is that the Republicans are very close to having the votes they need to pass it next week. Our job over the next 5 to 10 days is to get the word out about this horrific legislation and do everything we can to defeat it. Poll after poll shows that the American people are overwhelmingly in opposition to throwing millions of Americans off of the health insurance they have. Let us demand that my Republican colleagues listen to the American people and not their campaign contributors. This bill must not be passed.
Listen to the American people and not their campaign contributors. It's what it all boils down to. The government's been bought. And that's why these guys vote the way they do. You know, the donor said, listen, we're going to feather your bed. We're going to take good care of you. We're going to make sure you get elected. We're going to do everything financially possible to make sure that you get to be able to vote. And you know how you're going to vote when you get there, right? And guys, this is what it boils down to. And like I said, it's a get-rich-quick scheme. And Chris Murphy takes him to task, and he takes no prisoners. So, Judy, clip 12, please.
So I want to come back to this question of some of the conflict of interest issues that have been raised. And I raise it because I think there's a great concern on behalf of the American people that this whole administration is starting to look like a bit of a get-rich-quick scheme, that we have a president who won't divest himself from his businesses and could potentially get rich off of them. We had a Secretary of Education last night who has big investments in the education space, a Secretary of Labor who could gut worker protections and make a lot of money for his industry. And so I want to walk you through another set of facts, another timeline regarding some of your interactions with the healthcare industry and get your reaction to it. On March 8th of 2016, earlier last year, CMS announced a demonstration project to lower Medicare reimbursements for Part D drugs. That would have decreased incentives for physicians to prescribe expensive brand name medications, and drug companies that were affected by this immediately organized a resistance campaign. 2 days later, you announced your opposition to this demonstration project. 1 week later, you invested as much as $90,000 in a total of 6 pharmaceutical companies, not 5, not 7, 6.
You believe this?
All 6, amazingly, made drugs that would have been wouldn't have been affected, but you didn't invest in any of those. You invested in 6 specific companies that would be harmed by the demonstration project. You submitted financial disclosures indicating you knew that you owned these stocks. And then 2 weeks after that, you became the leader in the United States Congress in opposition to this demonstration project. You led a letter with 242 members of Congress opposing that demo. I've led those letters. I know that's not easy. That takes a lot of work to get 242 people to sign on.
That's good staff work, Senator.
And then guess what? Within 2 weeks of you taking the lead on opposition to that demonstration project, the stock prices for 4 of those 6 companies went up.
Unbelievable, isn't it, guys? Is the game rigged? Is the table tilted? Damn straight it is. But you know what? Even when the tables were tilted, Trump ran 4 casinos into the ground. So you talk about a negotiator. Trump doesn't have a clue. He doesn't know what he's doing. And the next clip after this, we're going to show you that Trump doesn't even know what's in the health care bill. But there is one person that knows what's in it, and that's former President of Obama. And I tell you, this guy, all Joey keeps talking about, and Joey and little Stevie. I love you guys. If you get a chance, go on Things to Ponder, and you can blog on Joey's Facebook page, and I tell you, it's a lot of fun. But with the next clip, we're going to show you Obama, and he's just going to use a little logic and reason. A lot of times, logic and reason aren't words that are in the Republican vocabulary. So, Judy, let's have clip number 21, please.
And so when I see people trying to undo that hard-won progress for the 50th or 60th time with bills that would raise costs or reduce coverage or roll back protections for older Americans or people with pre-existing conditions, the cancer survivor, the expecting mom, or the child with autism or asthma, for whom coverage once again would be almost unattainable, it is aggravating. And all of this being done without any demonstrable economic or actuarial or plain common sense rationale, it frustrates. And it's certainly frustrating to have to mobilize every couple of months to keep our leaders from inflicting real human suffering on our constituents. But typically that's how progress is won and how progress is maintained.
You have to work at it. It's that simple. You have to sit down and you say, look, how are we going to fix this? Let's get together and get it done. But you know, Trump doesn't know what's in the bill. And I'm not kidding you. And when I don't kid you, I prove it to you. So Judy, let's have clip number 22, please. Keeps whipping up support for the Senate's latest attempt to repeal and replace Obamacare. But it doesn't appear he knows what's in the bill. I would not sign Graham-Cassidy if it did not include coverage for pre-existing conditions, which it doesn't. The bill allows states to decide whether to make those changes, which could cause premiums to spike for patients. As we show, Jimmy Kimmel,
this guy, Bill Cassidy, just lied right to my face. Do you believe that every American, regardless of income, should be able to get regular checkups, maternity care, etc., all of those things that people who have health care get and need?
Yep.
What is your response, Senator?
I'm sorry, he does not understand.
Industry experts said Kimmel was more accurate. You believe that? And despite President Trump's promises to cover
So I'm not hearing you, Mr. President, say there's a
conditions,
guarantee of pre-existing
We actually
conditions.
have a clause that guarantees.
He doesn't know what's in it. He doesn't read stuff. Guys, you know, earlier on one of the earlier shows, we did Tony Schwartz. Tony Schwartz wrote the book, The Art of the Deal. And he said, Trump doesn't read anything. It's got to be read to him. It's got to be explained to him. You're better off showing him pictures. The President of the United States. You believe this, guys? But I tell you, if somebody does know what's in the bill, it's our senator from Connecticut. And he explains in detail what this bill will do to the average American family. So, Judy, clip 23, please.
Trump Care won't die. This is probably version 7.0 that we're working on right now, and you need to know about how devastating the latest attempt to repeal the Affordable Care Act is to America, and in particular to Connecticut. Here's the lowlights of the new proposal unveiled by Senators Graham and Senator Cassidy. First of all, millions lose insurance. This doesn't look any different than the previous versions of this bill. CBO probably won't get a score out in time for the vote. That's intentional because Republicans don't want you to know the fact that ultimately likely tens of millions of people would lose insurance under their proposal, just like the old proposals. Second, it's the end of Medicaid as we know it. This is perhaps the most extreme version of Trump Care that's been introduced. And by ending the entitlement for Medicaid and dramatically lowering the amount of money that states get, there will be millions upon millions of poor children, disabled individuals who will lose access to Medicaid. No protections for sick people. This is the most extreme part of this bill because no other version of Trump Care has been so bad for people with pre-existing conditions. Why? This bill allows every state to charge sick people more, and it ends the individual mandate, which was one of the things that made sure that sick people didn't get charged more. These are the phone numbers that you can call. Again, these are the senators. So write the number down. But rates are going to be going up. And then I'm going to have to say goodnight, but I hope you had as much fun as we did. We'll see you next week, guys. Hey, we're going to be live next week, 7 o'clock. We'll see you then. Hey, did we run the stuff yet? There we go. Hey. Nice job, Judy. And I want to thank Kurt. Kurt hung in there, and we did a good job. And we didn't get to use Martino's this week, but we're going to be live next week, so we'll be getting pizza from Martino's, and we'll all be happy campers. So don't forget to call in next week. We'll be live, and you can ask questions, and hopefully we'll be able to answer. If we can't answer them, well, we'll at least find out a way to answer them. How much time? Good night, everybody.